So you did work experience at Air France. How is that related to sales?
It was a summer placement as steward. I wanted to develop my sense of contact, of communication. It was very useful. I was very shy. I also learnt that being useful within a team requires personal initiative, as well as respect for the manager's instructions. This will be very useful in any kind of job.
And last year you worked as an assistant account manager. What were you doing in practice?
I assisted the account manager. I was in charge of production, scheduling and of competitive analysis. I have it here if you want.
Thanks. Okay, and what did you learn from that experience?
Well, that advertising is not just creativity, but also reliability in logistics.
Meaning?
Well, each stage of production is very difficult. Deadlines are very short and one must always ensure that that printed documents fit the initial project. I had to be very careful and exacting with the print shop manager. I had to be diplomatic. I had to ask him to redo a round of proofs that was not good enough. He had 20 years' experience and I was on my first job, you know?
And everything went well?
Oh yes. Everything came out on time and with no mistakes. At the beginning, the printing manager yelled at me. Then in the end, he admitted I'd been rather conscientious. He spoke to the agency's director, who offered me a temporary contract as substitute for an ad manager on maternity leave.
Right, so during this temporary contract you had more experience?
Yes, I was very much in contact with the customer, and I participated in the campaign's elaboration much before production.
You mentioned organising a cultural sponsorship. Did that happen?
Well, in fact, I was working for the garden plants group, and I was supposed to propose some sponsorships. But in the end it didn't happen.
How is that?
Actually, I proposed to my client, Garden Plants, to sponsor the Jones show. But it was an obvious match with horticulture. So, I organised a meeting between the show organisers and Garden Plants. We worked on a sponsorship project with their marketing director. We spent quite a bit of time on the project. In the end, we presented it to the show, and they had to decline because they were getting funds from the city, so they could not be sponsored by our customers.
And you only learned this after proposing it to your client?
Yes. In fact, nobody thought about that, but I should have considered and checked this issue. In the end, we wasted a lot of time and the client had to make do with a press campaign.
And what did this experience teach you?
Well, that good ideas are not always feasible. You can have them, but not commit to them without checking their technical and legal feasibility. And this is what the account manager is for.
And on a personal level, how did you feel about this setback?
Well, it was sobering. At the beginning it was a bit hard, but at least neither the director nor the client held it against me. This made me work twice as hard. For example, I really threw myself into the organisation of the opening. So, I contacted caterers, asked for quotes, which I sent to the client. I called a landscape specialist who gave plenty of gardening tips. The director of Brighton Flowers came and showed his rare plant specimens. My manager and the client were very happy. In fact, the first day's sales were twice the expectations.
Right. So what are your assets?
Well, I think I'm interested in the world around me. My friends say I'm enthusiastic. I also like to finish what I'm doing. And I'm quite tenacious.
And your defects?
My defects are in a way the same as my assets. I want to do everything, so I take on too much responsibility. And at times my tenacity is seen as stubbornness by the people around me.
Right.